It's a simple 1993 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. Nothing fancy. It looked like every other penny in circulation. But what was hiding beneath its coppery glow stunned the entire coin collecting world. One collector, just an average guy cleaning out his kitchen drawer, noticed something. Something off. A microscopic flaw so small, most people would never catch it. But this flaw turned his penny into $1 million miracle. You see, in 1993, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies. But in the chaos of high-speed presses and worn-out dies, a handful of coins slipped through the cracks with a hidden secret. These pennies, missing their mint marks, carried an ultra-rare error that wasn't supposed to exist. And that tiny oversight is now making collectors rich. When that unsuspecting collector brought his coin to an appraiser, the room went silent. The expert's eyes widened. He had seen rare pennies before, but this was extraordinary. A rare no-mint mark Lincoln penny from 1993, struck with an off-center die and a nearly invisible double die averse, a combination so rare, only a few are known to exist. The appraiser whispered, "This isn't just any penny. This is a once-in-a-lifetime find." And just like that, a simple penny, pocket change, transformed into $1 million treasure. At an auction in Chicago, under blinding lights and surrounded by elite collectors, the bidding war began. Nobody expected a frenzy for a 1993 penny. But within minutes, the price skyrocketed. $100,000. $300,000. Then $500,000. And it didn't stop. The final hammer dropped at an astonishing $1.1 million. Gasps echoed through the room. A penny, sold for over $1 million. Dealers are now scouring old coin rolls, hunting through forgotten jars, desperate to find another one of these minting mistakes. Because the truth is, this error wasn't supposed to happen. The Philadelphia Mint had phased out no-mint mark pennies by the early 90s. Yet, somehow, a small batch escaped detection. And every one of them is a ticking time bomb of value. But what makes this penny so valuable isn't just the missing mint mark. It's the hidden doubling on Lincoln's profile, subtle, but unmistakable to a trained eye. Collectors call it the ghost double die. It's faint, almost like a mirage. But under magnification, it reveals its secret, a perfect storm of minting anomalies that transformed this ordinary penny into a millionaire's dream. One man, a retired teacher from Ohio, stumbled upon a 1993 no-mint mark penny at a local flea market. He paid a single dollar for a bag of old coins. Buried in that bag was a coin that changed his life forever. That penny, authenticated by PCGS as a rare error specimen, sold for just under $1 million. Imagine a dollar investment turning into a seven-figure windfall. After the auction, news spread like wildfire. Coin forums lit up. Collectors everywhere started checking their spare change, digging through piggy banks, hoping to strike gold. Suddenly, the 1993 penny was no longer a forgotten coin. It became the most hunted Lincoln cent of the decade. And right now, as you watch this video, there could be a 1993 no-mint mark penny sitting in your home. The question is, would you recognize it? Most people see a worn penny and toss it aside. But the rare $1 million versions have telltale signs. First, flip it under bright light and check Lincoln's profile. Look for a faint doubling on his chin and the bow tie. It's subtle, like a ghostly shadow. Then, examine the edges. The most valuable errors show a slightly off-center strike, where the rim seems uneven or thinner on one side. And don't forget the back. A sharp, clear Lincoln memorial design with no signs of machine doubling is key. It's the perfect contradiction of a minting flaw with pristine details. They confuse post-mint damage with genuine mint errors. A scratched or worn coin is worthless. But a coin with mint-made imperfections, that's where the real treasure lies. The slightest doubling, a shifted die strike, or the absence of a mint mark could mean the difference between a penny and $1 million payday. Collectors are now paying top dollar for these elusive 1993 no-mint mark Lincoln cents. And with so few verified specimens, every new discovery sends shockwaves through the market. The value keeps climbing, and dealers are desperate to get their hands on one before prices skyrocket even higher. While others are ignoring their spare change, you could be holding $1 million secret in your palm. This isn't a fantasy. It's happened. Ordinary people have turned spare change into life-changing fortunes. And it all started because they knew what to look for. So, if you have a jar of pennies lying around, now is the time to act. Grab a magnifier, check those 1993 pennies, and look closely. That tiny detail, that almost invisible doubling, could be your golden ticket. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Do you want me to also write a YouTube title plus description plus tags for this video to maximize viral reach? A simple 2000 Lincoln penny, the kind that jingles unnoticed in your pocket, became a life-changing fortune for one lucky collector. And here's the shocking part: thousands of these pennies are still out there, hiding in plain sight. The answer lies in a secret mistake, a tiny flaw from the Denver Mint that went unnoticed for years. A flaw so rare, it turned a 1-cent coin into a national treasure. And most people, even collectors, have no idea what to look for. But once you know, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Back in the year 2000, the U.S. Mint in Denver was producing billions of pennies. The machines were relentless, stamping out coins day and night. But in the rush to meet demand, something slipped through the cracks, an error so subtle, so hidden, it became a collector's holy grail. An amateur collector, just a man sorting through his old coin jar on a lazy Sunday afternoon, spotted something odd. His 2000 Lincoln penny didn't match the others. At first, he thought it was damage. Maybe a scratch, maybe just wear and tear, but what he held in his hand wasn't damage at all. It was a minting error, a rare double die reverse so faint, only trained eyes could catch it. The bids started modestly. But within minutes, they skyrocketed. Dealers, collectors, investors, everyone wanted this coin. The final hammer price? $1.2 million. Experts believe there are dozens more of these $1 million pennies floating around. In old penny jars, in dresser drawers, in forgotten piggy banks. Right now, one of these treasures could be sitting in your own home, completely unnoticed. First, you need to check for the 2000 mint mark, just below the date on the front of the penny. That tiny D signifies it was minted in Denver, where this specific error occurred. Look closely at the Lincoln Memorial. Under magnification, you'll notice something shocking, a subtle doubling of the columns, almost like a faint shadow. This isn't caused by damage or wear. It's a minting anomaly, known as a double die reverse, and it's extremely rare on the 2000 penny. Most people glance right past it. But those who know, they're turning pennies into $1 million miracles. Some of these rare pennies have an additional error, a misaligned die strike, where the design is slightly shifted off-center. That combination of a double die reverse and misalignment turns an already valuable coin into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. After the first $1 million sale, collectors started hunting these pennies relentlessly. Coin shows, estate sales, even yard sales became battlegrounds for the next big find. Dealers were offering instant cash for high-grade 2000 pennies. The frenzy was real. One man found his in an old roll of pennies from a bank. He paid 50 cents for the roll, and walked away with a coin worth nearly $1 million. And yet, the majority of people are still tossing these coins into tip jars, completely unaware. There are fakes. Some sellers artificially damage pennies, trying to mimic the double die effect. But a genuine 2000 error penny will show clean, crisp doubling under magnification, not a messy blur. The lines will be sharp, like a shadow perfectly trailing the original design. Also, beware of polished coins. If the penny looks unnaturally shiny but lacks the precise doubling, it's probably just an ordinary cent that's been cleaned to fool beginners. But if you spot that subtle, undeniable doubling, and the D mint mark is clear, you might just be holding $1 million masterpiece. A single penny, tossed aside by millions of hands, could be the key to a life-changing fortune. All because of a tiny oversight at the mint, a hidden error that only the sharpest eyes can detect. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It was just a regular day for a man in Colorado. He emptied his pockets, as we all do, about to sweep a few coins into the junk drawer. But something made him pause. A glimmer, a small flaw, barely noticeable. That ordinary-looking penny would soon change his life forever. What he held wasn't just pocket change. It was a 1990D Lincoln penny, but not just any 1990D. This one carried a hidden error so rare, so catastrophic in the minting process, it transformed this 1-cent coin into a treasure worth over $1.3 million. But what could possibly make a modern penny command such an astronomical value? The answer lies in a mistake so subtle, most people never notice it. Back in 1990, the Denver Mint was churning out millions of pennies. Machines moving at breakneck speeds, blank planchets being stamped, coins pouring into bags by the thousands. But amidst that mechanical chaos, a minting flaw slipped through. A flaw that created one of the rarest and most coveted Lincoln pennies in U.S. history. You see, certain 1990D Lincoln pennies were struck with a missing mint mark, or a ghostly, barely visible one. Now, that might sound minor. But in the world of numismatics, where one tiny detail can skyrocket a coin's value, that mint mark error is everything. This is about a mechanical mishap, a clash of steel dies and copper blanks, where a faint misalignment, or a worn-out die resulted in a mint mark so shallow, so elusive, it became nearly invisible to the naked eye. And here's the shocking part: most people who find one of these rare error coins don't even realize what they're holding. They spend it. They toss it in a jar. They dismiss it as a damaged penny. One such 1990D penny, with this exact error, surfaced at an auction house in 2018. The bids started modestly, but within minutes, the numbers escalated to heights no one predicted. Collectors were battling for ownership, dealers were dialing their wealthy clients, and when the hammer finally fell, that tiny penny had sold for just over $1.3 million. Imagine, a single coin that most people would pass over without a second glance, turning into $1 million miracle. And here's where the story gets even more thrilling. The U.S. Mint, notorious for its strict quality controls, has only documented a handful of these error pennies existing today. They weren't meant to escape into circulation. But a few did, possibly in someone's change jar. Or even jingling in your own pocket right now. First, the mint mark. You're looking for a D that's either completely missing, or so faint it looks like it's dissolving into the coin's surface. Under a magnifying glass, it may appear as a ghostly shadow, or just a small bump where a clear D should be. Not every faint D is a jackpot. Circulation wear and tear can also fade a mint mark. The key difference is in the depth and precision of the strike. A worn coin loses sharpness over time. But an error coin like this shows a lack of definition right from the moment it was struck. Another clue? The die clash marks. These subtle lines or marks, like whispers from the minting press, sometimes appear near Lincoln's shoulder or around the rim. They're the fingerprints of a chaotic minting error. But be warned, spotting $1 million penny isn't just about what's missing. Collectors were shocked to learn that even seasoned dealers overlooked these pennies for years. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, while hundreds of others unknowingly spent theirs at gas stations and grocery stores. A woman in Ohio, an everyday collector, not an expert, found one in a roll of bank-wrapped pennies. She almost dismissed it. Almost. But something about it felt off. She held it up to the light, saw that ghostly mint mark fade into the copper, and decided to have it authenticated. Today, that coin sits in a private collection, purchased for nearly $1.3 million. And yet, numismatists believe at least a dozen more are still unaccounted for. Before you rush to a dealer, know this: authentication is everything. Reach out to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. A proper evaluation can mean the difference between a lucky day and a life-changing $1 million discovery. Most people still don't believe a modern penny can be worth so much. They think the days of rare coins hiding in circulation are over. They're wrong, because every so often, a coin like the 1990D Lincoln penny error emerges from obscurity and turns an ordinary person into a millionaire overnight. So check your drawers. Look in your change jars. Because this exact penny could be sitting there right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This ordinary-looking penny almost ended up lost forever. Forgotten in a dusty jar, dismissed as worthless pocket change. But when it finally surfaced at a small-town auction, collectors watched in disbelief as the final bid soared to nearly $1.4 million. That's right. A single 1981 Lincoln penny with no mint mark turned an everyday American into an instant millionaire. But here's the twist. Most people are throwing these away without ever knowing what they're holding. Why? Because the secret that makes this penny worth a fortune is almost invisible. It's a minting mistake so rare, so subtle, that even seasoned collectors have missed it. But today, I'm going to reveal exactly what to look for, and by the end of this video, you'll know how to spot a $1 million penny hiding in plain sight. The story begins in 1981, a year before the U.S. Mint would switch to the modern copper-plated zinc penny. Back then, pennies were still made of solid bronze. But a small batch of 1981 pennies came out of the Philadelphia Mint with a flaw. A flaw that turned them into secret treasures. No mint mark. No sign of where it came from. But that's not unusual for Philadelphia coins. What makes this penny extraordinary is what happened during its minting. Collectors discovered that a few of these 1981 no mint mark pennies were struck with double die-averse errors, a doubling effect on Lincoln's profile, his eye, and especially the motto, "In God We Trust." But here's where it gets wild. This doubling is so faint, so ghost-like, that 99% of people never notice it. A collector, rummaging through an inherited coin jar, noticed something odd. Under a magnifying glass, Lincoln's eye appeared doubled, almost like a shadow. He thought it was a trick of the light, until he took it to a local coin dealer. That dealer's face turned white. Within weeks, that penny was sold at an elite auction for $1.4 million. Dealers are now racing to get their hands on these elusive 1981 no mint mark double die pennies. The frenzy is real, because no one knows exactly how many were accidentally made. Some experts believe only a few dozen exist in pristine condition. But here's the $1 million secret most people don't know. It's not just the doubling that makes this coin valuable. It's the combination of the doubling and the coin's flawless condition. Coins that have never been in circulation, untouched by time, with sharp, clean details. These are the true jackpot finds. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle simply because he noticed a faint doubling that others ignored. Imagine having a fortune sitting in your coin jar, and you've been overlooking it for years. Another 1981 no mint mark penny was found at a flea market, mixed in a 10-cent bargain box. The buyer paid a dime. Yes, 10 cents. That same penny was later graded as MS67 red, near perfect, and was valued at over $1 million at a private sale. This is not a fairy tale. It's happening. And you could be next. First, look at Lincoln's eye. Under magnification, you might see a subtle doubling effect, like a faint shadow behind his eye socket. Next, focus on the words, "In God We Trust." On a true doubled die, the letters will appear slightly thicker, almost like a ghost image behind them. But be warned, many pennies have what's called machine doubling, a flat, shelf-like doubling caused by loose dies. These are not valuable. The real $1 million doubling has depth and contour, as if a shadow has been carved into the metal. Collectors were shocked when they learned how easy it is to overlook these features. That's why coins with clear, strong doubling and gem condition are considered the holy grail of 1981 Lincoln cents. And here's the final golden tip: color matters. Experts look for pennies with a bright, original red luster. This indicates the coin hasn't oxidized or dulled over time. A bright red 1981 double die with no mint mark, in mint state condition, is a $1 million treasure. So right now, you could have this exact penny hiding in your pocket change, sitting in a drawer, or trapped in an old piggy bank. The only thing standing between you and a life-changing discovery is knowing where to look. This is your moment. Your $1 million penny might be closer than you think. If you found this video eye-opening, imagine how many other coins are out there with stories just like this. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because next time, I'm going to reveal even rarer coins that are still being found by everyday people. That 1981 Lincoln penny with no mint mark? It could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A simple 1981 Lincoln penny, the kind you've probably held 1,000 times. But this one, this tiny copper coin, ended up being worth over $1.5 million. Today, I'm going to reveal a secret that's been quietly shaking the coin collecting world, a minting mistake so rare, so subtle, that even seasoned collectors are being caught off guard. Because this isn't just any 1981 penny. This is the one era coin that dealers are racing to find, and ordinary people are pulling out of their pocket change, without even knowing they're holding $1 million miracle. But before we dive into how to spot this treasure, let me take you back to where this story begins. It's 1981. The Denver Mint is churning out millions of pennies, business as usual. But somewhere along the line, a tiny error occurs. Not a dramatic double strike or an obvious off-center coin. No, this mistake was almost invisible. A handful of 1981 Lincoln pennies were accidentally struck using transitional planchets, copper-alloyed blanks that were never meant to exist in that year. You see, the U.S. Mint had officially transitioned to zinc-coated blanks to cut costs. But somehow, some of the older copper blanks were fed into the press at Denver. Most workers didn't notice. To the naked eye, these pennies looked perfectly normal. For years, these rare copper planchet 1981 pennies slipped quietly into circulation, mistaken for ordinary coins. Until one day, decades later, a sharp-eyed collector noticed something off. He was sorting through a roll of pennies from the bank when he felt it. A different heft. A different ring as it hit the table. His curiosity got the best of him, and he decided to weigh it. What he found sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. It was a 1981 Lincoln penny struck on a copper planchet, a combination that was never supposed to happen. Auction houses scrambled. Experts double-checked. And when the hammer finally dropped at auction, the coin sold for a jaw-dropping $1.5 million. More of these rare transitional errors began to surface. Not many, just a few. But enough to ignite a frenzy. Suddenly, every collector, dealer, and treasure hunter was on high alert. People were digging through old jars, bank rolls, and pocket change, hoping to find their $1 million penny. And here's the wild part. Most of these rare coins don't look any different at first glance. They carry the same mint mark. The same Lincoln portrait. But it's a hidden detail that turns them into a fortune. So how do you find out if you're holding a $1.5 million treasure? First, you need to check the weight. Regular 1981 pennies should weigh around 2.5 grams, thanks to the zinc core. But the ultra-rare copper planchet errors will weigh closer to 3.11 grams. It's a difference you can only spot with a digital scale, the kind you can get for just a few dollars online. Second, look at the color tone. Copper coins often develop a warmer, richer patina over the years, while zinc pennies tend to dull out into a flat grayish color. Under the right light, that copper shine could be your first clue. But here's the kicker: the mint mark placement and strike quality. Some of these $1 million errors exhibit a slightly shifted mint mark, due to misaligned dies during the hasty production run. It's subtle, barely a hair's width off-center, but to an expert, it's a beacon. Collectors were shocked when these details first surfaced. Dealers are rushing to acquire these coins before the public fully catches on, because once these treasures are in private collections, the chances of finding one in circulation dropped to nearly 0.1 man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Another found his tucked away in an old coin jar that had been gathering dust for 20 years. And here's the truth no one tells you: these once-in-a-lifetime finds aren't just about luck. They're about knowledge. It's about being the person who knows exactly what to look for, when everyone else shrugs it off as just another penny. There's a growing belief among top collectors that less than 20 of these copper planchet 1981 pennies have ever been discovered. That means there could still be a few hiding, forgotten, unclaimed, sitting silently in drawers, piggy banks, and coffee cans across America. The opportunity is slipping away, coin by coin, as more people wake up to this hidden treasure. Remember, weight, 3.11 grams is the magic number. Color tone, That deep, rich copper glow. And mint mark alignment. A slightly off-center D could be your $1,000,000 clue. Most importantly, never assume a penny is just a penny. Because this exact 1981 D Lincoln penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1,000,000. If you're ready to keep uncovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure you subscribe, because I'll be revealing more $1,000,000 coin secrets that most people will never hear about, but you will. This penny almost ended up lost forever. Forgotten in a dusty jar, buried under old receipts, until one collector realized it was worth nearly $1.5 million. Yes, a simple 1998 D Lincoln penny, the kind millions of Americans handle every single day, has shocked the coin world. Not because of its age. Not because it's made of gold. But because of a tiny, almost invisible mistake, a minting flaw so rare, most people don't even know it exists. One man in Colorado, just like you and me, found this exact penny while sorting through his childhood coin collection. At first, it looked ordinary. A bit worn, a few scratches. He almost tossed it into a bulk roll for spare change. But then, he noticed something strange. The D mint mark, supposed to be crisp, sharp, and centered, was oddly misaligned. Not only that, but Lincoln's profile had a bizarre doubling effect, as if his image had been stamped twice. This wasn't just wear and tear. This was a hidden treasure, a rare double die error combined with a misplaced mint mark, a freak accident during production that created a $1,000,000 miracle. When this penny hit the auction block, experts were baffled. Bidders knew it was rare, but no one predicted the frenzy that followed. Collectors from around the globe, Japan, Germany, even high-net-worth investors in New York, were desperate to get their hands on it. The final hammer price? $1.6 million. Let that sink in. A penny. 1 cent selling for more than the price of a luxury mansion. And yet, most people are letting these life-changing coins slip through their fingers. Every time you get change from a store, this exact penny could be staring back at you. The reason this coin is so valuable isn't obvious. In fact, 99% of people overlook it. They see a worn penny and think, just pocket change. But seasoned collectors know better. They know to look closer. Much closer, because on the 1998 D Lincoln penny, the smallest imperfections tell the biggest stories. Now, let's dig into why this specific coin has become a millionaire's secret. In 1998, at the Denver Mint, a small batch of Lincoln pennies was struck with a critical error. The dies, the metal stamps that imprint the design onto blank coins, were slightly misaligned. This caused the D mint mark to appear shifted from its correct position, and in some cases, barely visible to the naked eye. But the real jackpot lies in the doubling, a rare double die reverse effect where Lincoln's face shows a ghostly duplicate outline, especially around his lips, chin, and the word Liberty. Another collector in Ohio found a similar penny while cleaning out his late grandfather's attic. Tucked away in a coffee tin, this overlooked coin sat unnoticed for decades. When it was finally examined by a professional grading service, it received a staggering MS-65 red designation, mint condition with full red luster. Auction houses went into a bidding war, and once again, the price soared into the millions. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were scrambling to verify if more of these error pennies existed. Suddenly, coin hunters across America were flipping through their spare change with laser focus. But here's where you need to pay attention, because this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The 1998 D Lincoln penny error is all about the angle and placement of the mint mark, combined with slight doubling on Lincoln's profile. If the D is perfectly centered and clean, you've got a regular penny. But if it's off-center, slightly tilted, or seems unusually faint, that's a red flag. Pair that with any sign of doubling around Lincoln's lips, nose, or the word Liberty, and you could be holding a fortune. Once news of these sales broke out, people began hoarding their 1998 pennies. Pawn shops were overwhelmed with folks asking, "Can you check this one?" Online marketplaces saw skyrocketing listings for rare error pennies. Some were genuine, many were not. But the ones that were real? They sparked bidding wars overnight. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And yours could too. But here's the part they don't tell you. Not every error penny is created equal. To truly strike gold, or in this case, $1 million copper, you need to ensure two things. First, the mint mark must be visibly misplaced, even if just by a hairline. Second, look for doubling on Lincoln's face and key letters like, "In God We Trust." These microscopic errors turn a penny into a payday. But there's a catch. Professional verification is everything. A coin like this needs to be graded by experts like PCGS or NGC to authenticate its error and condition. Otherwise, it's just another penny. There are more of these out there. Minting errors don't just happen once. They occur in small batches, and most remain undiscovered, hiding in sock drawers, piggy banks, and forgotten coin jars across America. Imagine reaching into your spare change bowl tonight and pulling out a penny that could pay off your mortgage. Imagine walking into a coin show and seeing jaws drop as dealers realize you're holding one of the rarest pennies of the 1990s. That's the power of knowing what to look for. That's the thrill of the hunt. Start by flipping through your 1998 pennies under a magnifying glass. Focus on three areas: the mint mark, Lincoln's chin and lips, and the word Liberty. Any doubling, any tilt or shift of the D mint mark, any slight design anomaly, that's your golden ticket. And don't be fooled by common mistakes. Dirt, smudges, and scratches are not valuable errors. You're looking for die doubling and mint mark misplacement, minting flaws, not post-mint damage. Collectors dream of stories like these because they're real. They happen. And it could happen to you. Because this exact penny, yes, this very design, could be sitting quietly in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. If you want more secret tips on coins hiding in plain sight, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join a community of treasure hunters who know how to turn pocket change into pure gold. Do you want me to write the YouTube title, thumbnail text, and viral hashtags for this video too? That's right. A simple 1980 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark. Found in a jar of old coins, tucked away in a dusty attic. It looked ordinary, until a tiny detail turned it into a $1.7 million treasure. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But why? What makes this particular penny so valuable? And could you have one hiding in your own home? Right now, let me take you back to 1980. A year when the US Mint produced billions of pennies. Most were flawless, standard, forgettable. But a rare few, escaped the mint's strict eye, carrying hidden mistakes, errors so small, most people never notice. One of these pennies, lacking the D mint mark from Denver or even the S from San Francisco, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Now, here's the catch: Philadelphia coins weren't supposed to carry a mint mark in 1980. That wasn't unusual. But this coin had more, far more. It had a double die error. A misalignment so precise yet so subtle that under normal light, you'd never see it. The letters in Liberty appears softly shadowed. The date, 1980, looks slightly swollen. Barely a whisper of a mistake, but to a trained eye, it's a golden signal. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Now imagine being the collector who found this. A retired man in Pennsylvania, sifting through his childhood coin collection, thinking they were all worthless. But one penny felt off. He couldn't explain it. It shimmered differently under the light. He almost tossed it into a coin-counting machine, but curiosity got the better of him. He showed it to a local coin dealer, and jaws dropped. Phone calls were made. Auction houses were alerted. The coin world went into a frenzy. At the auction, bidding started at $10,000. Within minutes, it shot past $100,000. But the room wasn't done yet. The hammer fell at a jaw-dropping $1.70 million, and just like that, a forgotten penny became life-changing money. But here's the kicker: this isn't an isolated incident. Experts believe there are more of these 1980 no-mint mark error pennies still out there. Lurking in piggy banks, old drawers, or jars of pocket change, But before you go diving into your change jar, you need to know what to look for. Because finding $1 million penny isn't just luck, it's knowledge. First, check the mint mark area. A genuine 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny from Philadelphia isn't rare by itself. But here's where it gets interesting. If the coin has no mint mark, flip it and inspect it under a magnifying glass. Look closely at Liberty and In God We Trust. Are the letters bold and slightly doubled? Not messy or blurry, but crisp with a shadow-like echo? That's the sign of a double die. Next, examine the date. 1980. If it looks thicker or shows subtle doubling, you might be holding on to something extraordinary. Collectors were shocked to find that some of these $1 million pennies also have a slight off-center strike. It's a delicate misalignment, just enough to shift the design without ruining it. These errors amplify the coin's value dramatically. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these because they know how elusive they are. Auction records prove it. When one appears, bidding wars erupt. And the values keep climbing. A pristine 1980 no mint mark penny with a fiery, uncirculated red hue is a jackpot. Coins that have been preserved, untouched by human hands, command top dollar. But even circulated examples with visible doubling can fetch life-changing sums. Now, imagine this. You're sorting through an old coin jar after watching this video. You pick up a 1980 penny. No mint mark. It looks normal, but then you see it. That slight doubling on Liberty. The date looks bolder. Your heart skips a beat, because that's exactly what happened to a woman in Ohio. She found a similar era penny in her late father's collection. It was tucked between wheat pennies, completely overlooked. When she discovered its true value, she broke down in tears. That single penny paid off her mortgage. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But what happened next will make you rethink every penny you've ever seen. After the auction, news of the $1 million sale spread like wildfire. Suddenly, people across America were scouring their change jars. Pawn shops saw floods of coins. Coin clubs were overwhelmed with hopeful collectors, each clutching a 1980 penny, wondering, is this the one? And here's the shocking truth. There are still undiscovered treasures out there. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. So here's what you do. Grab a magnifying glass. Look for a 1980 penny without a mint mark. Search for that doubling on the letters. Inspect the date. Check the edges for off-center strikes. And most importantly, don't assume it's worthless just because it looks ordinary. Collectors are still hunting. Dealers are still buying. And stories of life-changing discoveries are still unfolding. Before you leave, hit that subscribe button and join a community of treasure hunters turning pocket change into $1 million finds. Every week, we reveal new secrets, rare coin tips, and strategies to help you spot the hidden gems that others miss. Don't let your $1 million pennies slip through your fingers. It was just a regular day. A retired schoolteacher from Ohio was rolling up her spare change, never imagining that inside that pile of pennies was a life-changing secret. A single, small, brown coin, the 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. She'd seen it 1,000 times before. But this time, this exact coin was different. You see, in 1978, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of pennies without a mint mark. Ordinary, right? But here's where it gets thrilling. Not all of them were ordinary. A small batch left the mint with a hidden error. A mistake so rare, so invisible to the untrained eye, that most people tossed them into piggy banks and never gave them a second thought. Collectors were shocked when the schoolteacher's penny went up for auction. What they thought was pocket change was actually a double die obverse error. Lincoln's profile was slightly doubled, his lips, his chin, even the date. 1978 appeared with a faint, ghost-like shadow. It's barely there. But that's the secret. And here's the wild part. Most of these error pennies are still out there. In drawers. In jars. In forgotten boxes in American households. When that schoolteacher's penny hit the auction block, experts predicted a small fortune. Maybe $50,000, $60,000. But when the bidding started, it was a frenzy. Collectors battled. The price soared. And by the time the auctioneer's hammer dropped, jaws hit the floor. The final bid? $1.8 million. For a single penny. It's not just the double die error. It's the condition. The coin was a blazing, uncirculated red. Not a scratch. Not a blemish. As if it had been frozen in time since 1978. And that combination, an ultra-rare error and pristine condition, made it the ultimate prize. But here's the twist, even worn-out versions of this era coin have been selling for tens of thousands. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look at Lincoln's profile. Focus on the lettering. In God we trust. On the rare era coins, the letters appear slightly thicker, almost swollen, especially the G and W. You might even see a faint doubling on the date. Most folks see a 1978 penny with no mint mark and think, it's just a penny. That's why this is one of the best kept secrets in American coin collecting. And what happened after the auction? Well, the schoolteacher's life changed overnight. She paid off her mortgage, bought her dream car, and started traveling the world, all because of a penny she almost threw away. Experts believe that up to 50 of these rare era coins are still unaccounted for. 50. Sitting in jars, piggy banks, glove compartments. Right now. You're holding a penny worth $1 million, and you don't even know it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. The next could be yours. First, check for the mint mark. There should be none. That means it was minted in Philadelphia. Next, examine the obverse side, the front, with a magnifying glass. Look at Lincoln's jawline, his lips, and especially the date. 1978. You're searching for a subtle doubling effect. It's faint, like a shadow of the numbers layered behind the date. Then, inspect the words, Liberty and In God We Trust. On the rare era coins, the letters seem a bit bolder, puffed up, as if slightly out of focus. But don't stop there. Condition is everything. Coins with that bright red luster, untouched, uncirculated, are the real jackpot. But even circulated versions, with visible doubling, are fetching up to $75,000 in private sales. Hold the coin at an angle under a bright light. Gently tilt it side to side. Sometimes, the doubling is only visible under certain lighting conditions. This simple trick has led collectors to spot errors they would have otherwise missed. Because right now, as you're watching this video, that exact penny could be sitting in your drawer. And it's worth over $1 million. Don't underestimate what's hiding in your pocket change. If you want more treasure hunting secrets, hit that subscribe button and join the journey, because the next life-changing discovery could belong to you.